Hey, you've caught the Sales Hunter podcast. My name is Mark Hunter. Of course, you know me as the Sales Hunter. Today, we're talking about trust and its impact on sales. And to do that, I have as my guest David Horsager, global trust expert. His work has impacted numerous Fortune 500 companies, universities, and governments around the world. In fact, the research he and his company does each year is read and acted upon by leaders around the world. He's also a Hall of Fame speaker. And in fact, his keynote has been referred to as the most relevant speech of the decade. And with that, the show begins right now.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter Podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
Hey, we're excited to say that we finished 2022 as the top ranked sales podcast, new sales podcast on iTunes, Apple Music. Thank you to the listeners for making us number one as a new podcast this year. But hey, let's get on. Let's talk about trust. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, great to be here. How you doing, Hunter?
I am doing great. Now, you were in Minnesota today?
I am. It's been a crazy one. It's been nonstop for 2 weeks, and I'm back for a couple of days and head to DC tomorrow. But yeah.
That's good because you're on a mission telling the world about trust. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about trust in sales. Okay, we know it's important. What do we get wrong when it comes to trust?
Many sales leaders think the number one question everybody's asking is, do I like you? And that's not true at all. I've got friends I like a whole lot. I wouldn't go into business with in a million years. I wouldn't buy from. It's the question behind every question is, can I trust you? In fact, I can buy from people I don't even like if I trust them with this product, service, or delivery. The core issue for every salesperson, if they want to speed up a sale, there's only one way. They have to increase trust in the channel. There's only one way to increase sales, period, that research shows, and that is increase trust. So you have to deal with this trust issue. A lack of trust is always the biggest cost for a salesperson. It's always the biggest cost for a company. Broadly, you don't have a leadership issue. The only reason you follow a leader not is trust. You don't have a sales issue. The only reason people buy is trust. Innovation goes up on teams when people trust each other because then they'll share ideas. Learning goes up in classroom when only when they increase trust in the content teacher or the psychological safety or trust of the room. You got to put trust as central, and that's what we're dealing with is how this core essential. How do you actually build that? And there's a framework for building trust, of course, in sales.
Wow. Okay. Now I can tell you're kind of passionate about that because you're motoring along at about 250 words a minute.
So you don't have to do. We say in podcasts when David talks, you don't have to go time and a half.
Well, I love this because you are dropping so much truth here. But here's the problem. We talk about trust and we always, oh yeah, trust. But it doesn't really come through in sales. What is it that leaders can do? Because you get to work in boardrooms around the country, around the world, governments, universities. Your impact is phenomenal. What can the average person be doing out there? Average salesperson be doing to get that level of trust that they need?
Well, there's 8 things that in the research. The first half of my research back a couple decades ago kind of proved out how a lack of trust is the biggest cost in the company. And I was one of the first to kind of show that back when no one virtually was doing real research on it. Now everybody's talking about trust with and mostly without research. But basically, first you got to get it, that trust really is that core. And second, you got to learn, how do you actually build it? And how does that go beyond what we think? And so we have this framework, as we call it the 8-pillar framework of how trust is built globally. And then from those, there's tips, takeaways, and tools that you can use to actually build trust. But we do have to think bigger about trust. So people say, oh, trust, that there's an expert today that says trust is transparency. And of course, that's not true. Transparency can build trust. But, some of your kids are so transparent on social media, I don't trust them for a second because confidentiality is also trusted. So we have to think bigger about trust, and then we have to use this framework for building it. So I'll give you a couple ideas. Whether we touch on all 8 in our short time together is another idea, because under each of these 8, there's actual little tools and takeaways leaders and salespeople can use. So, but the framework is this. Clarity builds trust. Number 1, people trust the clear and they mistrust or distrust the ambiguous or the overly complex. What does this mean for salespeople? Well, a leader might not be trusted if they're not clear about the vision. A manager might not be trusted if they're not clear about expectations. A teacher, even though they're compassionate and high character, might not be trusted and liked simply because they're not clear about the assignments, so the kids go home frustrated. What about a salesperson then? Well, a salesperson might be clear about how cool they are and how long they've been in business, which nobody cares about, but they're not clear about the benefits of that product to me. I mean, absolutely clear. And so we drill down on absolute clarity of the right things. But one of the 8 pillars is clarity. And one of the first things you can do as a salesperson is be absolutely clear about the benefits. You can be in your daily work, be absolutely clear on the little things that make the biggest difference. Our sales guy, that's amazing. He's measured what's most important in driving sales that fulfill our mission, which is developing trusted leaders and organizations around the world. He wants to get 50 points every day. 50 points. A meaningful conversation is this many points. A call is that many points. We're absolutely clear on how we win here that delivers the results to fulfill our mission as far as our sales team.
Now, I love that because you're really talking about clarity, but even backing up the bus before that, you really broke down that trust and transparency are not really interrelated.
Transparency can build trust, of course, but it's not trust because it cannot too. You got people throwing up all kinds of things all over the place that isn't for everybody to hear or see. I don't trust those people that put that on social media. That's not appropriate.
You mean you're not into TikTok?
I don't. What is that anyway?
I like you. I like you. I like you. Yes.
Relationships. Now, it's funny because one of our studies recently found the number one way to change an opinion of someone's. By the way, just so everybody knows, it turns out it's not Facebook or Instagram. Sorry. The number one way to change someone else's opinion still, by far, is a trusted relationship. So people still need, and we're seeing all the new data. And while there are ways to build trust virtually, certainly, and we have to deal with that as leaders, it's far and away the fastest way to build trust is person to person still. Far and away. And by the way, person to person, in person is best, but if you're doing virtual, having it be live, like not some recorded thing, like being able to respond and answer questions and connect, right?
Does that include then being dressed from the waist down, not just the waist up?
Hey, just don't show me your camera now.
Okay.
Don't turn it down.
Hey, I've already been out to a breakfast engagement and I'm on my way to a lunch.
That doesn't mean anything, I hear.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Good. Now, because see, this brings up a key thing because you talk about trust. It's that in-person thing. And yet we have so many organizations where they're saying, hey, salespeople, you're not traveling. You're doing it all virtually. Okay. So that makes it harder to create trust, right?
It is harder, but what can you do then? So the question always is that VUCA one in terms of all, number one, what can I do? And of the things I can do, what should I do first? What can I do? Because, that many people spend all their time on things they cannot do. Okay. You're forced to work virtually. What can you do? Actually, there's ways to be absolutely clear virtually. I'm going to whip through the framework and you can come to, trustedge.com. We give you all kinds of free things there, but just so you know what builds trust, here they are. And I mean, I can speak about each of these for a day. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes as a framework. So number one is clarity, and not in importance, but number 2 is compassion. We trust those and buy from those that we feel care about something beyond themselves. Even if it's not me, they have a mission or something they care about. You don't care about something, I don't want to buy from you. I don't want to be accountable to do. Number 3 is character, doing what's right or what's easy. Number 4 is competency. We trust those that stay fresh, relevant, and capable. We trust those that listen to the Hunter podcast, that Sales Hunter, that we trust those that read the books, that we trust those that stay fresh. If you're selling the same way you were 20 years ago, I don't trust you, or 5 years ago. You've got to stay fresh, relevant, and capable. That's competency. Next one is commitment. We trust those that we think will be committed even when it's tough, a pandemic, whatever. If I think you're going to jump when there's something adversity, I don't want to buy from you because what happens when this thing doesn't work or I have a question? I want someone that I know is going to be committed. The next question is connection. The pillar is connection, the ability to connect and collaborate with others. If you're an island, you're doing it on your own, you're not willing to connect and collaborate, you're siloing. I don't tend to trust. That's what the research shows. Next pillar is contribution. And really the key word, don't think of these as 8 C words. They are C's for clarity, but they're not some trite acronym from a preacher. They represent a very important research funnel. And this one, the number one word that came out of this research funnel was results. You've got to contribute. You can't just have compassion and character. As a salesperson, I'm going to trust you if you deliver results. You contribute results. And the final one is, of course, the queen and king of the pillars, and that's consistency. And more than anything in my sales team, I want them to be consistent, doing the little things consistently. That's why for our, key salesperson here, hey, 50 points every day. I know we're going to win at the end of the year. I know we're going to win by quarter, but you've got to do the little things consistently. So we have all kinds of frameworks for that. Our DMA strategy, difference making actions every day, our how strategy, 90-day quick plan, these ways that we take clarity and then we make it consistent, because that's the winning salespeople are absolutely consistent. And by the way, just a fun one here, and then I'll let you talk. That is, you are trusted for whatever you do consistently, good or bad. If you're late all the time, I'll trust you to be late. You don't have to like something to trust it. Like I trust McDonald's. I don't have to like a McDonald's, but I've had the same burger on 6 continents. The pickle's off centered everywhere I go, right? So, I mean, sameness is trusted. And that's what we want from salespeople. So in this very short time together, and there's a whole lot of tools you can grab if you need them, but these, if you just take these 8, put them beside your computer, put them in your vehicle that you go sell with, and have these 8 and think, oh, is it a clarity issue? Is that a consent? Because most people are solving the wrong issue. They're saying, oh, we got a leadership issue. No, you don't. You got an engagement issue. What do we know from the research? You don't get engagement unless you increase trust. Oh, we got net promoter score, referral issue. No, you don't. Net promoter only goes up when you increase trust. What? Oh, David, you love C words. Isn't it ever a communication issue? It actually never at the core is a communication issue. What do we know? Communication's happening all the time. Clear is trusted, unclear isn't. Compassionate is trusted, hateful isn't. Consistent is trusted. Competent communication is trusted, incompetent isn't. High character communication is trusted. Lying, deceitful sales communication is not trusted. It's not communication. It's these 8. And you have a framework for these. You can increase your sales and speed up trust, increase sales.
Okay, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you have not seen the way David is leaning into his microphone because he speaks with so much passion. But I love what you're preaching, because you are.
Well, you speak this stuff. You get it.
And I love it. And I love it. And I like that last, when you said consistency, because one of the things that I say, one of the differences between a top performer and an average one is they're just consistent.
No doubt.
They do what they do. But then you said something else. That trust doesn't always necessarily mean you're on time. You use the example that you may be late, and I can trust you to always be late.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, anything like that. You don't, if you speak well of people when you're in the room, I believe you might do that when I'm out of the room. You gossip all the time when I'm in the room. I probably trust that you're consistent. So you'll probably do that when I'm out of the room about me. So, I mean, that you're trusted for whatever you do consistently. And that certainly plays out as a salesperson.
Do customers pick up on that?
Obvious, 100%. Yep. They see it.
Yeah.
And so does your wife and husband and partner and friend and kids.
Hey, leave my wife out of this, would you? No.
Hey, here's what we know. People that are better at home are better at work. So
I tell you, wow.
Healthy relationships, healthy leaders, healthy people make healthy leaders. I've been writing on this now. It's like what we've noticed is healthy people make healthy leaders. And you and I are in an industry where we see lots of people kill themselves to win in one way, and they lose everything else, and then they lose that way they actually were trying to win.
I tell you what, you show me a good leader, and they're a good leader at home. They're a good leader in their church. They're a good leader in their community. They're a good leader in everything. They're not just a good leader when they're sitting in their boardroom.
No doubt.
And again, you'll look at companies that return consistent results, and salespeople. That's what you see, because I'll say a top performer. A top performer, it's amazing. You can take them into a Starbucks and they're going to treat that barista with the same amount of love that they treat their customer. That's a top performer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you have unpacked there a lot. Is trust a two-way street, or can it be a one-way street?
What's the research show? It shows this, and then I'll just use the US side. Half the people you're dealing with in America will trust you until you break it. About half the people in America lead with skepticism, in that you have to build it until they over time will trust you. So the good news is, for the leader, you got to do the same thing every day. For the sales leader, you do the same thing. Whether they trust you immediately or you need to build it, you act the same way every day, and you work the same way, and you're building it and earning it every day because trust is earned. But this side probably was like me growing up. I had a great parents, great family, healthy relationships, and I trusted quickly. Uh, Over here, before you judge this other half, almost half, they probably had something terrible happen to them in the first 18 years of life. Most of the time, it wasn't their fault. And so, whether we're dealing with someone that leads with skepticism or leads with trust, as leaders and salespeople, we need to do the same thing every time, which is build these 8 pillars with each of them, be clear, be compassionate, show commitment, show we get results, contribution, and that's how we do it either way. So the good news, what I try to get people to do is think, hey, it doesn't matter. We have to do the same thing. How many times you and I speak on some of the same big stages? I just had one, a couple thousand people. I'm back. They have me signing books. How many times they have me signing books and people come up to me and say, David, I love that trust stuff. I believe in that trust stuff. I wish my boss would have been there. They need this stuff. I wish my spouse was here today. I wish my kids heard this stuff. They really need it. Can you sign this book to somebody else? Because they need this trusted leader or trust edge stuff. And the problem is they're not here. You're here and I'm here. And every time I speak about this, I think of things I could do differently. I could do better. I run Trust Edge Leadership Institute, and I have gaps of trust 20 feet away with people that I'm trying to help solve for and work with and live this stuff out. I'm totally imperfect at everything I teach. Just ask my teenagers. But I believe in it. I've seen people put trust first. I've seen them triple sales in 90 days using our work. I've seen a Fortune 50 company gain 11% market share. I've seen a Fortune 5 company increase their engagement score by 400 basis points, and they gave us credit. I've seen, I've seen it change me. I've seen people said it tripled their sales. People said it saved their marriage. I'll tell you, it helped me be better. So I'm passionate about it, as you know, more than about anything else. And there you go.
Well, hey, but we're not done with the show yet, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned because there's still more to come with David as we go. Hey, I want to talk here about this because you said right up front, you were writing about trust years and years ago and about how it's the number one impact in terms of the results a business achieves.
It's the root cause. It's the leading indicator. If you see page 20 of my first book shows the leading indicator of attrition going down, retention going up, sales going up, speeding up a sale, market share, trust. That was the eye-opening thing back then. That, what? Trust? I thought it was leadership. I thought it was communication. I thought it was net promoter. I thought it was referrals. I thought it was this. No, it was always trust at the very core of leading indicators, right?
Well, that backs up also what you said that one of your C's is not communication.
Absolutely not.
Which
is communication.
Which really is mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. But that's an easy out. It's an easy out. Oh, communicate, But and by the way, to be fair to people listening, I know what you mean. Most people mean clear communication. Or most people mean consistent. But when you drill down one more level, like those 8 pillars, you actually start to get what you wanted, which is absolute clarity or consistency or whatever you're talking about. Compassionate communication. It's the type.
Yeah. We've got people jumping in with comments, and they're saying, hey, in kind of a technical world, you got to lead with knowledge and expertise and so forth.
Competency. That's the competency pillar. So you have to show each of these. You might come up with things that that people quickly didn't. I've got 8 days of content I can talk about here. So someone might say, well, empathy. Yes, that fits under compassion. You might say, like someone said, tech or something like that. By the way, technology on its own can increase or decrease trust. It's these 8 applied to tech, right? Or people or whatever. Clear tech wins, unclear tech doesn't. But competency is what you're talking about there, is that yes, competency builds credibility, showing you've done this before, getting referrals as a salesperson, showing your quoting something else, often using something else to quote that this works or whatever, your product works. But you have to, yes, you need credibility. You need you need to show your capability if I'm going to buy your item or your process or your your service.
Oh, I love that. Hey, great friend Larry Levine jumps in. Speed to heart, speed to trust.
Interesting.
You buy into that?
Speed to heart. I'd like to ask Larry what he means exactly by that. We know that sales go at the speed of trust, right?
Yeah, right. It does. Yeah. Because I truly believe that trust is also an emotional piece. Do you buy into that?
Well, you can feel it if you trust someone. But that feeling, I think, from what I've seen, is a sign of our feeling when we see those pillars that are solid revealed. So if I see character, I feel trust.
Yeah.
If I see someone that's absolutely clear instead of ambiguous or overly complex, I feel trust, right? So you emote to trust is an emotion, but I would argue that it's more than emotion. But we certainly can feel trust when we see those 8 pillars
Yeah.
show themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for the rapid learners out there, you went through 8 pillars.
Yep.
Is there one that they say, hey, if I only have time to focus on one, which one should I focus on?
Oh my. Well, I think the top and the bottom, if I'm going to give you 2 extra credit there, clarity and consistency. I think all of them are critical, but if you have a character issue, you're going to be challenged for that. Takes work, longer work. You can change number 1 and see results in less than 2 weeks. You change clarity of expectation. If you're a sales leader and you get clear on a team member's role and how that fits the mission, those people stay longer. That one sentence. If you get clear, absolutely clear of the benefits, you sell more. If you get clear on your values, people across your organization actually behave differently. And I mean values that they act by. We have a different way. We call them decision-making values. If you get really clear about the vision, or really clear about your sales goal, or really clear about priorities, clarity, and we have lots of ways we talk about clarity. ODC is a way to get really clear for your team about the outcome you want and the deadline, and then give them clarifying, make sure there's room for clarifying questions around it. So in clarity, you can do things so quickly and solve a lot of other problems. Consistency would be the other thing. And I ask this question. People get all excited about things, as at events we're doing. I say, you got a lot of ideas there, lots of things. Now ask this question. Of all these amazing ideas, which one would you do consistently? Because it even doesn't matter if another one's great. You could have a marketing idea that's amazing, but the power of marketing is consistency. If I won't do that, your favorite, TikTok.
Not my favorite. Hold it.
I'm teasing. If you don't do it consistently, it has no power. You can put one great video out anywhere. You can put one, it loses power. But if you do something consistently, SEO goes up, connection goes, whatever it is. So consistency wins. So those would be, I'll give you 2 that I would start with. Figuring out where could you be more clear, one place, and where could you be more consistent, one place. What else do you want? We can talk about this all day.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Hey, boom, boom. We are out of time. You've gone through 8 pillars. Where can people get more information about the 8 pillars and more information about you?
TrustEdge.com. You can go see my speaking all over the place. You can get certified in TrustEdge and use that in your sales organization. TrustEdge.com is the quickest place to find everything. There's a bunch of free tools there. And then, of course, we have all the ways we assess and close gaps on trust and courses and tools. So TrustEdge is the overall quick stop. And, of course, there's lots of other places.
And we'll put that and more in the show notes. And this will also be appearing on TikTok shortly. No. Anyway,
that'll be my debut.
That will be your debut, and it will be the last time you'll be on TikTok. No, this will not show on TikTok. I can guarantee you on that one. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you, David. We want to say thank you to listening audience for participating, listening to another show of the Sales Hunter podcast. And hey, my gift to you, jump down to the show notes. We got an ebook for you on prospecting. You can pick it up. Hey, each week you get 2 episodes from me right here on the Sales Hunter podcast. 1 episode, an interview with a leading expert like we've heard today from David. And the second one, a short 9 or 10 minute audio on me, just giving specifics on a sales topic. What is the Sales Hunter podcast? It's about giving you insights to help you become a top performer. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Thanks so much. Great selling.